Before we begin, let me ask you something. What if the person you fell in love with was the same person you married, but you never knew it? Tonight's story is filled with fate, secrets, and a love that hid behind a lie. So sit back, relax, and let the story carry you. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because stories like this one come every week. This is I Wish It Were You. A marriage without love. Isabel's marriage began without romance. There was no proposal, no celebration, no excitement. Only a quiet agreement between families and a name written on paper. Her husband was called Jared. They were legally married, yet emotionally distant. Jared traveled constantly, rarely home, and when he was, their conversations were polite and brief. Isabel felt like a guest in her own marriage. A full year passed. She learned his routines, but not his heart. She knew his schedule, but not his thoughts. At night, Isabel often wondered if this was what marriage was supposed to be. Two people sharing space, but never truly meeting. She tried to be patient. She told herself that time would fix everything. But loneliness grew heavier with each passing day. To distract herself, Isabel focused on building a career. She wanted something of her own, something real. That decision would change everything. The man who changed everything. Isabel's new job brought new energy into her life. On her first day, she met her boss, Lorenzo Bellini. He was confident, composed, and commanding without being cruel. People listened when he spoke. But when he spoke to Isabel, his tone softened. He noticed her dedication, her intelligence, her quiet strength. For the first time in a long while, Isabel felt seen. Their conversations began professionally but slowly grew warmer. Lorenzo asked about her ideas, her ambitions, her dreams. Things Jared had never asked. Isabel tried to ignore her feelings. She reminded herself she was married, but feelings don't follow rules. Every glance lingered longer. Every conversation stayed with her after it ended. Isabel felt guilty, but also alive, and she didn't realize yet that fate was playing a dangerous game. Falling for the wrong man, Isabel fell in love slowly, not with intention, not with desire, but with trust. Lorenzo was supportive, respectful, patient. He never pushed, never demanded, and that made it harder to resist. She began to compare him to Jared. Lorenzo was present. Jared was absent. Lorenzo listened. Jared avoided. The guilt ate at her, but her heart didn't care. One evening, after working late, Isabel found herself standing too close to Lorenzo. Their hands touched. Neither pulled away. In that moment, Isabel knew she was crossing a line, but she also knew she had never felt more honest. The shocking discovery, the truth came without warning. A document, a name, a realization that stopped Isabel's breath. Lorenzo Bellini was Jared, her husband. The man she married without knowing was the man she loved by choice. Her world collapsed. Every memory replayed differently. Every word gained new meaning. Jared had hidden behind another identity, watching her fall for him without the truth. Isabel felt betrayed, confused, angry. Love had turned into deception, and now she had to decide what it all meant. Truth, anger, and choice. Isabel confronted him. Jared didn't deny it. He explained everything. The pressure, the expectations, the fear of being rejected for who he truly was. He never expected her to fall in love with his real self. But intention didn't erase the pain. Isabel felt manipulated, used. She asked the hardest question of all. Was any of it real? Jared answered honestly, yes, all of it. But honesty came too late. Love without trust is fragile, and Isabel needed time to decide if this love deserved a future. What love really means. Isabel chose space, not punishment, not revenge, clarity. Away from Jared, she learned something important. Love should never require lies. When they met again, Isabel spoke calmly. She forgave him, not to forget, but to move forward. Jared promised transparency, patience, and truth. And this time, Isabel chose freely. Not because she was married, not because she was obligated, but because love, when honest, is worth choosing. And sometimes the love you wish for is the love that finds you, only after the truth does. When love is tested by truth, time passed slowly after Isabel stepped away from Jared. Days felt longer, nights felt heavier. She asked questions she had avoided for too long. Did she love Jared, or did she love the man she thought Lorenzo was? Love does not erase damage. It only reveals how much we are willing to heal. Jared waited. He did not beg. He did not rush her. When they spoke again, there were no promises. Only honesty. And sometimes, honesty is the bravest beginning of all. Choosing love without fear, love returned slowly, not in grand gestures, not in dramatic declarations, but in consistency. Jared showed up every time. Isabel no longer rushed her heart. She trusted herself first. She reached for Jared's hand, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. That choice changed everything. The quiet after everything, the city slowly fell asleep, and so did the noise inside Isabel's mind. There were no more questions chasing her thoughts, no more doubts pulling her in different directions. For the first time in a long while, she felt settled, not because everything was perfect, but because everything was honest. Peace doesn't arrive loudly, it comes softly, because love, when it is real, does not trap you. It lets you rest. When everything finally feels still, life did not suddenly become perfect after everything settled, but it became quieter, and for Isabel, quiet was something she had earned. The days no longer felt heavy when she woke up. There was no tension waiting in her chest, no need to prepare herself for disappointment. She moved through her routine with ease. Work, small moments of joy, evenings filled with calm instead of questions. She had learned something important through everything she endured. Love should never make you disappear. For a long time, Isabel believed love meant patience, sacrifice, and silence. She thought that enduring loneliness was proof of loyalty, that accepting distance was strength. But the truth revealed itself slowly. Real love does not ask you to shrink. It does not survive on fear, and it never hides behind lies. Jared understood this now too. Their relationship was no longer built on titles or expectations. It was built on choice. Every day they chose honesty. Every conversation mattered. Every silence felt safe instead of threatening. They did not rush the future. There was no urgency, no pressure to make promises sound bigger than they needed to be. What they had was simple, and because of that it was strong. Sometimes Isabel would think back to the woman she once was. The woman who waited quietly, hoping to be noticed. The woman who believed love had to hurt to be meaningful. She felt compassion for her, because that woman survived long enough for this one to exist. One evening, as the city lights shimmered outside her window, Isabel rested in the stillness. The world felt balanced, not because nothing could go wrong, but because she trusted herself to handle whatever came next. That was the greatest gift she carried forward. Not love, not marriage, not destiny, but self-trust. And in that calm understanding, Isabel knew her story was complete. Not because it ended, but because it finally belonged to her. A love that chose the truth in the end. Isabel understood something that took her years to learn. Love is not proven by how much you endure. It is proven by how much you are allowed to be yourself. For a long time, she believed that staying silent was strength. That waiting was loyalty. That pain was simply the price of love. But life slowly showed her the truth. Real love does not hide. It does not confuse. And it does not ask you to lose yourself just to keep it alive. The journey she walked was not easy. It was filled with doubt, betrayal, and moments where she questioned her own worth. But each step led her closer to clarity. She learned that forgiveness is not about returning to the past. It is about releasing it. She learned that choice matters more than fate, and that honesty, even when painful, is kinder than a beautiful lie. As Isabel looked toward the future, she felt calm, not because everything was certain, but because she trusted herself. Whatever love came next, whatever life placed in her path, she knew she would never accept less than truth again. And that knowledge was freedom. Because some stories are not about finding the right person. They are about becoming the right version of yourself. A version that chooses honesty. A version that chooses peace. A version that knows love should never feel like a prison. And with that understanding, Isabel's story did not end in perfection. It ended in truth. And that was more than enough.